What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love making content about all things Peloton, so be sure to subscribe if that's something you're interested in. But today I will be reviewing the Echelon X Prime Smart Fitness Connect bike that I use to ride my Peloton classes. So I got this bike around 2 weeks ago from Amazon Prime. It was great, came super fast, it only took like 5 days to get here. And I have a video on my channel setting it up, but today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of this bike, along with showing you how I set up a ride on it. And I filmed that earlier, so I'll insert that clip now. So the first thing that you do is plug in your bike. When you plug it in, it'll turn on. There's no on or off switch, and it'll start looking for Bluetooth connectivity with your phone or other device. I think you could just leave it plugged in all the time, but then it would always be searching for the Bluetooth capability. But I just have mine on a smart plug. So, hey Alexa, bike on.
Okay.
Once the bike turns on, you can see the blue light blinking. That means it's looking for connectivity. So now I have the Echelon app up on my phone. I just open it up and click that it is me riding. I've made a profile already, and you can see it's gone to a solid blue, which means that I'm connected. The first time you go through it, you'll connect the bike a different way. You'll open the Echelon app and there'll be step-by-step guide, really easy to follow, to basically connect your bike, and now it will always connect here. So I don't pay for any of the Echelon content, so it is all locked, can't do anything. So I come over to the More section of the app, and then Freestyle Ride. And then I have, these are just like putty, because I actually rest my phone here. There is a spot to rest your phone, but I put my iPad here usually so I can screen the Peloton classes. But this is basically what it looks like. You see we have resistance, output, cadence. If I start pedaling, you can see the cadence starts going up. The resistance is at 13. You see the output. You see these when you have the Peloton, and yeah, they're really helpful. And then when the ride is over, you just exit out. There's not much you can do. You can't save it anywhere. That's basically how I connect to the Echelon bike. Now I'm just going to get right into the pros of the bike. So the first biggest pro is that this bike is cheap. It's only $500, which I think is a great price for a bike that is a magnetic flywheel and also has resistance and cadence and all the information you need to take a Peloton class. A lot of the cheaper bikes will not have all of the stats that you need in order to properly follow along with Peloton class, so you either have to guess or buy additional products that you attach to the bike so that you can figure out these statistics. But this bike just has everything. It has resistance, cadence, and output, which are the three biggest things that Peloton uses when calling out what you should be riding at. Also, if you sign into somebody else's Peloton account, like I'm signed into my boyfriend's, you can access all the Peloton content for free. But even if you have to pay for it, it's only $13 a month for all app access, so all of their classes, compared to if you actually have the Peloton bike, it's $40 a month, which is something I've just never understood. But basically it's way more expensive if you have the Peloton, so buying a cheaper bike is cheaper at the start, but it's also cheaper monthly by a significant amount. So I think that overall buying not the Peloton is a really great move if you're trying to save some money. Another pro is obviously the speed that it was delivered at. That's crazy that it came in the 5 days. There's huge lines to get a lot of other bikes like the Peloton. A lot of them have backups right now because obviously everybody is trying to buy a bike right now. And I feel like it was just awesome that it could come so quickly. I also personally can't really tell a difference between riding this bike and riding a Peloton. I think that this bike rides really smoothly. Now I've only had this bike for 2 weeks, so it is possible that there could be problems in the future because obviously a $500 bike versus a $2,500 bike has quality differences, but so far so good. So to summarize, the 3 biggest pros of this bike is cheap, has all the statistics that you need, and lets you have the Peloton experience. It gives you all the stats you need and it rides really great. Now obviously with a bike so much cheaper than the Peloton, there are some cons. So when I first got the bike, the first 3 to 4 rides, there was just this clunking sound. And I looked it up on the internet and other people had this problem, and there was even a video by Echelon support showing you how to fix it, which was essentially taking off the casing here on the wheel and tightening a bolt. So I tried to do that, but when I got the casing off, the bolt was too big. I didn't have a wrench that size. So I just put the casing back on and I was like, okay, I'll figure this out in the future. I just can't do this right now. Maybe 1 or 2 rides after I had done that, the clicking sound had just gone away completely. It would clunk every time that I did one pedal rotation if I was at high resistance, high cadence. But it's just gone completely away now. I haven't had the problem in like a week and a half. So I guess that this is just gone forever, hopefully, but it could come back. So that's definitely a concern of mine. The other biggest con is just the Echelon app in general. You have to use the Echelon app if you want to see your stats because there is no screen on this bike. So I don't pay for the Echelon app, but if you do, it's like $40 a month, so it's not an insignificant amount. And since I don't pay for the app, the only thing that I get from the app is freestyle rides, which allows me to see my resistance cadence and output. But it doesn't save any of this data anywhere. You can't track your progress at all, which I think is the biggest con for the majority of people. So unless if you want to personally add all of your data, like how far you went, what your calorie estimation was, etc., into a different app after every ride, at least to my knowledge, there's no way to do this automatically. So there's just no way to track if you're getting better, if you're getting worse, which definitely stinks, but it's something that I'm willing to give up for a cheaper bike. Also, the calorie estimation on the Echelon is horrible. This isn't a huge deal because I have an Apple Watch and I usually do an indoor cycling workout on the Apple Watch while I'm doing these classes so that it can track my heart rate and give me better calorie estimation. But usually in an hour, I burn around 500 calories cycling, and the Echelon app estimates that I'm burning 3,000 calories per hour, which is just crazy. I don't think anybody can burn 3,000 calories in an hour, so I don't know what formula they're using, but obviously they don't care at all about developing a good formula because it's just so off. Like, calorie estimation is hard, and even I think the Peloton itself does a not great job. It overestimates, but it overestimates by like 200 calories, not 2,500 calories. So if you get this bike, I would really not recommend relying on its calorie estimation because it is wildly inaccurate. Finally, the last con I can think of is that you need 2 screens if you want to do the Peloton classes. So I have to use my phone to even just get the Echelon data, the resistance, the cadence, because there's no screen on here. So you could use an iPad, a laptop, a TV, but you need 2 screens. So if you don't already have 2 screens easily set up, that's another thing to consider, that it will be an additional cost for whatever you buy. For me, it wasn't a huge con because I already had an iPad, so I already had a setup that could work for me. There's also 2 things about this bike that are just different from the Peloton, which some people I think would consider cons, but others could consider pros, and I don't really know how I feel about it yet. The first is that the pedals on this bike are cage pedals, meaning that you slip your feet into them compared to clipping them in. So you don't need special biking shoes, which is awesome because that's also an additional cost saved. But usually bikers like to clip in. I thought that I would not like these cage pedals. I thought that I'd want to clip in. I got really used to it when I was riding the Peloton. But honestly, these cage pedals don't bother me at all, and they're actually nice in some cases, like bike boot camp, for example, because it's really easy to switch between going on the floor and being on the bike. And then a lot of people would probably consider this a con, but you're not on the leadership board, obviously, because there's no way to actually connect your cadence and resistance to the Peloton app to see in your Peloton class, so therefore there's no leaderboard. Even when I was riding the normal Peloton, I wasn't huge on competing against other people. I know that's really motivating for some people, but I would really want to compete against myself and be a PR every single time, which I think was almost detrimental to my ride, because if I could see at first that I was falling way behind my PR, I would like get upset and I would keep riding, but sometimes it just put me in a bad mood during the ride. So I almost kind of like that there's no save data for this because I just can't compare my rides to past rides, and obviously there is benefit to that, but I think there's also negativity if you are doing worse. Obviously everybody has good and bad days, and I kind of like that you just do the ride, do the best you can, and then it's just over. So those were all my thoughts on the Echelon X Prime bike. Let me know if you have this bike, what you think. I did see that Amazon's mad at Echelon because Basically, they branded this as like an Amazon Prime bike. Like they called it X Prime, there's Prime logo, and Amazon's like, we had nothing to do with this bike, they're just selling it on our platform. Overall, I'm really happy for this bike and I'm looking forward to doing a lot of rides on it. That's it for this video. I hope you guys are having an awesome week, staying safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!